45 minutes.
Ding 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 dong. Ding 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 dong. Ding 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 dong. Ding dong. Ding da da ding. So fucking tired of having to fight YouTube on something that they clearly fucked up. I really just want Spire. Release me from this mortal coil. I wish not to be on this plane of existence any longer. Mm. Oh boy. It does not appear that there seems to be anyone here. That's a little bit depressing. A little bit depressing. A little bit depressing.
Big chunks of like relationship developments and the investigation going on that aren't there. But I think if you want to know like all the stuff I've been talking about that I wish I didn't have to talk about recently, stuff about like, you know, whatever, the stuff that like Operation Underground Railroad does. If you want a really, really good like dramatic, like fictional sort of examination of the nature of just how horrific that stuff is, The Crow Girl is a phenomenal Swedish crime thriller novel slash trilogy of novels that talks about that stuff. And it is, oh my god, it's really dark. But it was a really good series. I have cat hair in my eye. Help. Like Romeo said, Sweden's main export is lesbians. Go Sweden. Oh, Sweden. IKEA, canned rotten fish, and lingonberries. Got Nordstream and Sacrifice. I'm so tired. Oh, Inception. The single player Carl. Hi, single player Carl. If you guys are not subscribed to Singer, yeah, just, oh. I'm so tired. I am incoherent. Oh my god. Oh. Woohoo! Vincent said, speaking of music, has anyone here heard anything by Corpse Husband? I have 3 of his songs. I have. I have Never Satisfied. I have Miss You, which is my favorite of his songs. I have Cat Girls Are Ruining Life. And I've not listened to his new song. But yeah, oh my god, Corpse's music is super good. I hope that dude is okay because my god, his explosion into stardom is one of the most terrifyingly rapid ones that's ever happened, and I just hope he's okay. because that kind of like pressure is insane. PayPal's not working. Well, then we're not friends anymore. We're fighting. We are. Our friendship is on hiatus. Oh, oh, I did get one. Oh my god. Oh, there's one right there. Oh no, how do I say your name? I feel so bad. Is it Yuki? Yuki of Sokudo? Says add another necklace. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I totally missed that. Where are you? What's your name on here? Are you just are you just lurking in the chat? Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, and Sardi got it to work too. Thank you so much. I didn't look at it down here, and now I have to refresh it and see if it comes through. You're a weenie. Here's money. Thank you guys so much. You were so sweet. Yay! Where did the other one go? What did I just touch? What the heck did... That was scary. Where'd it go? Okay, here. I found it. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna open this over here so it doesn't crinkle your eardrums out of your head. I'm so sorry. Is that how you say your name? Is that how you pronounce it? Yuki? Thank you so much for the $10. I'm such a goober that I missed it. Oh my gosh. That's really sweet. I appreciate it. Necklace time, everyone. Yay.
I cannot see if there are people. Especially while I'm waiting, watching Michelle's stream, as I do things. Can't tell. It does not appear. I cannot tell. At all. Nothing showing up in chat. Refresh this. I assume everybody must be watching the debates. I'm not gonna fucking watch the debates. I'm not even gonna look at the debates. The debates do not exist to me because I don't want to see it until I have time to talk about it later, which later would be the weekend. I'll have time to talk about it on the weekend. It kind of sucks that I have to be aware of what fuck happens politically, because everybody else seems to care. Have to wait until people show up. Because people click on the link late. There's also the potential and possibility people have already gone to bed. That's possible too.
I don't... Did the pumpkin one, like, just die already? Or what's happening here? Here, this one is over...
It would be some really low-key den shit if I end up waiting while waiting forever. Because people don't show up. That would suck, actually. I have no clue. I have no idea. Is this thing on? It apparently is on. People have looked at the tweet. People have liked the tweet. I see likes. I don't see people. Oh, speaking of, I have to retweet this and the other thing. I see one person. It says that there's 2 people. I don't know. Because YouTube's new streaming platform, Pusher, is dog shit. I don't know why it's dog shit like this. But it's dog shit like this. There's a lot of delay. There shouldn't be any delay. Why is there a delay? I even have this thing set for no delay. What the fuck? Why? I'm gonna go to the bottom of this. I'm gonna go to the bottom of this. Hoopsie poopsie. Oopsie poopsie. It's not a lot of delay. What is your ping, sir? I feel you may have high ping. Unless I have to literally set this shit for ultra low latency. Once again, eat my ass, YouTube. First, you try to fucking pass off a video that you took down from my channel as impersonation as being spam. Because whoever fucking flagged this shit as impersonation, which we know who that was too much of a fucking coward to face me one other way. And then, after flagging my shit and taking it down as impersonation, you reactively go back to the fucking content warning strike you put on my channel unfairly and re-render it not as impersonation, but as spam. A video that is informative of an active event happening, labeled as spam. Can't tell me what I spammed. Can't tell me what I was falsifying. Couldn't tell me whom I impersonated, what I impersonated. And I'm supposed to take a strike for that shit and sit on it. Pain. All my nibbles know is pain. Pain, 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 pain. Pain, 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 pain. It all sucks. Everything sucks. I want to punch something. Sad part is people don't read threads. So, that shit's not gonna be seen until the morning. So is the life of Carl. So, hello chat. How are you? How are things today? Did you enjoy the debates? Because I didn't see them. I was at work. I've had people texting and telling me shit all night from what happened, but I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it until I have time to look at it. But as always, retweet my shit, share it around, bring your friends. Uncle Carl has a tale to tell you. We have some shit to look into as well. I don't know how long this stream's gonna be, but it's gonna be long enough to get through all of this. And at least one of these is some odd hours. So, you have that to look forward to. I'm gonna give it more time for people to fill in. YouTube is like a bitchy 15-year-old high schooler that is dismissively vague about important shit. I believe it. I believe it. Looking at how YouTube is ran and how shit goes, yeah, YouTube is exactly like a 15-year-old high school female. Absolutely. E. Ooh. Ah. I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Fifth. I'm gonna retweet this. And I'm gonna retweet this as well. And then I'm gonna retweet these as well. So motherfuckers look and read them. Motherfuckers aren't looking and reading them. See, it's days like this where, despite not caring about social media, I really wish I had a bigger following than I do. Because the only reason why this strike on my channel is still here is because I don't have people like Poe has people following his fucking shit. It's one of the few things if I wanted to complain about, I would complain about all of the time. Because if I had more people, I could be able to hit somebody to help me with my shit, but I don't. So I have to fucking fight on my own. And because I don't have more people, he gets passed over. Only so much a person can do. And this is one of those things that just is part of the job. Having to argue the case for people to do their goddamn jobs so that I don't have to work 10 times as hard. But enough about shit that pisses me off. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're just gonna go over and discuss tonight is one individual by the name of Chloe Roma Southerland. She is a woman who lives in, I think, Alberta or Calgary, Canada. And they are a member of the men's rights movement. An upstart that has just, because of their TikTok advocacy, popped up into the ether, as it were, and started joining and streaming and booping and bopping all around the place. And it has people asking billions and billions of questions because of something that recently happened that they said that a lot of people rejected because the way that this person spoke and the thing that this person did sounded a lot like basically what happened to the YouTube skeptics of yesteryear, right around the time of Gamergate. And I want to talk about it because I've seen this person come and go, and I've seen their shit. I've even retweeted and shared some of their shit on my timeline. And I want to dive into this shit because it's very, very, very important. Because not enough people pay attention. And I'm going to demonstrate some basic lessons to you about the reasons why you should pay attention to the people who advocate for things that you like. And why, even though things sound really, really good, you need to learn to fucking research and look into shit when people just suddenly show up and start advocating for the same thing you do, so that you don't all of a sudden end up in a situation like Atheism Plus. So, the first things to know about this person before we even get into it, I want to talk about something that grinds my gears a fucking lot, and that's buzzwords. One of the biggest fucking irritations I have is the buzzwords. Buzzwords in general getting used and abused to justify pretty much anybody to just do whatever the fuck they want. Because they say a buzzword, and then a person gets really confused by what they mean by the said buzzword, and they do no extra work, and it doesn't go anywhere from there. This is what we were looking at yesterday, last night, because of Vito claiming that Southeastern Asia is completely the same thing as China. So of course, Raya and the Last Dragon must be people just doing whatever the fuck, right? Problem with this, as you'll find here, is that when you don't know what people are talking about or advocating for, and they throw out buzzwords that you recognize, you can fall into a trap, right? because it reminds me, effectively, of somebody who, only after they called me an egroid and threatened to shoot me and bury me in a shallow grave, were we able to learn they were fucking crazy. One of the few pieces of lore for my channel. I don't know how many people were here during it, but if you know anything and you are from my Twitter feed and you have heard the name Lauren, last name not given, Smug Roko, this situation is very much like Smug Roko. So, the parallels, they were sound in my head. Because chameleons, snake oil salesmen, exist in every movement. They exist in every business and industry. Anywhere where money and attention can be bought, sold, and made, garnered, and used, and abused, you will find people like this. No matter what. It doesn't matter when, it doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter why. All that fucking matters is them benefiting and people who are just happy to see them do shit standing up behind them and making sure that they can continue to get money. This and shit like it is the reason why I chose not to become a creator and make content until I had my head in the right place. Because I wanted it for the wrong reasons back then. And until I could find my head in my own confidence, make sure I knew what the fuck I was talking about, and talk about shit. Lauren's issue is that she really hates SJWs, right? And yet, in this hatred of so-called SJWs, she acted like one. Including all of the let me retweet some shit at you to own you kind of shit. Because she loved to say buzzwords. She loved to take things out of context. She loved to talk shit to people. And she did it because she knew people didn't pay attention and they didn't do research and they didn't do anything other than ask questions like, huh? Who? What? Context, please? And because people didn't ask questions, because even me, when she asked me to help her, and by help, more like pick my brain to come up with answers to shit, and using archives so that she could be able to win when the archive was made, if it was actually some shit she could do, and when she didn't have me around, using Inspect Element to fake some shit, make a point, gave her the opportunity to essentially do what Vosh Jorhans and any other member of BreadTube does. Because if they can control the narrative, if they can just latch on to things and they can just keep saying the same words everybody else is saying, they can blend in and they can get money. It's very irritating. Because if you have a chameleon slip in and they just are able to do it for whatever reason, as long as they communicate a message that people resound and react to, as long as nobody ever questions it because, holy shit, look at how much views they have. Look at how effective they are. And worst of all, if their cover story is convincing enough, they can literally get away with anything they want and eventually get people to give them money. And once that business becomes lucrative, once it's a cottage industry that they've been benefiting from, no matter when they get revealed and outed, kind of like Shoe on Head, they can essentially become popular, and once that machine's rolling, you can't turn that motherfucker off. So you have to be careful about who you stand behind. Now, on that point, who remembers Atheism Plus, right? which was feminism. It was feminism disguised with an atheism twist. Who knows about YouTubers like Jack Saint and the Janitor, Christy Winters, Pig Puncher, Jill Barrup, H Bomber Guy, and people like that. I'm trying to remember the other one. Russian Deadpool, who's still in jail, by the way. All of those YouTubers who were a part of the left wing of YouTube, including people like Lacey Green and the like. There was a sect of them that invaded the skeptic community of atheists, where they were told to add feminism to everything, thus beginning the rot of intersectionality, and allowing people to grift themselves onto it. That's how a channel like the Bible Reloaded became Hugo and Jake, and then eventually Hannah and Jake, because it was never about atheism and understanding atheism from whatever view. It was about presenting people of an opposite tribe inside in front of an audience and using their version of the 2 minutes of hate to mock and antagonize people across platforms. It doesn't matter the history of it, because even if you knew the history, it doesn't matter now. It's so far away that any person who even looks back would be confused unless they know the context. Because people don't do research, they would stupidly go to the person and say, hey, what happened back then? And they would be fed a lie. That happens all the fucking time. In everything. It happens with the Goobergay. It happens with Trump and things that Trump has done. And if you've been paying attention to this political cycle, especially concerning the COOF, you've seen a mini version of this with Cuomo and his ordering of lockdowns in New York City and telling them to put COOF patients in the same building in nursing homes with the healthy elderly. Those healthy elderly getting infected, having respiratory issues, dying, and Cuomo saying with a straight face, I never ordered that, I never did that, and the report being outright erased. That is what feminists do in everything. Now, the person in front of us, we don't know if they're a feminist or not. I haven't seen any evidence to supply that, but I've got a lot in front of me today, and we're going to find out in this stream. That's why I said I don't know how long we're going to go. We got a lot of shit to dive into, but it's important that we do a background check on someone. Because if you don't know, gotta find out. And if you've been in a Mr. Random or single player Carl thread, you know I don't fucking skimp when it comes on my research. Comes to my research, not comes on my research. That's what I do. But yeah, you don't trust things that people tell you. Mainly because it could have already been infected with buzzwords. And when it's infected with buzzwords, and you don't even know what the thing is, if you believe what somebody else told you, and you don't double check it, and you go hard on the paint, and you're wrong, and you don't apologize and say, you know what, I fucked up, there is never going to be anything that tells you the truth. It's why Anita Sarkeesian and Chelsea Van Valkenburg, aka Zoe Quinn, continue to get money to this day. Because there are people who are committed desperately to being victims. That's why they keep mentioning the Goobergay. Here, for today's topic, we're looking at a very different community. One that's a bit more hardy than the rest. A bit more resistant to the scourge that is intersectionality and radical feminism, which is the men's rights movement. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with the Honey Badgers, or familiar with one of the more popular member of the Honey Badgers, Dr. Randall Kim. I am a very long fan of him. And they recently covered some of her shit on a HBR debate. However, before we get there, we have a deep dive to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow us to dive in. First, we start with Chloe Roma. Who is Chloe Roma? Well, I can tell you one of the things that she is not. Businesswoman. This is Chloe Roma's page. If you were to look up Chloe Roma right now, you would find a lot of videos asking and doing the same thing that I'm doing right now, which is, who is Chloe Roma, and is she a chameleon, a social chameleon trying to invade the MRM? Now, first question some people should be asking right now is, Cora, why the fuck do you even care? Well, I care because I'm an egalitarian, and on top of loving and wanting to help women, it also means loving and wanting to protect men. And one of those things that's very important is the men's rights movement. Because out here in this world, in this reality, being called an MRA, a men's rights advocate or activist, is a death sentence. Because for some reason, feminists have been able to convince people that MRAs are crazy, machete-wielding lunatics that actually want to kill everybody, and not, you know, the men's rights activists that they are, advocating for the rights of men and women, but trying to remind people that, you know, men don't have things like reproductive rights. Men are going to go to jail when reported under the taught lesson plan of the Duluth model that says when the police are called to a residence and a woman is heard struggling or fighting with a man, even if that woman is literally caving his face in with a lamppost, or if a woman says, I felt I was in danger, that man goes to jail. That men in divorce court, family court, not only do not ever really have a cold or warm chance in hell to win their paternity rights, but often can be victims of paternity fraud. And not only do not have the right to denying their parental responsibilities, should they wish to give them up, but also being demanded by mandate by the court, if they happen to find themselves to be victims of parental fraud, of a woman impregnating herself with a man's seed, whether it be by rape, it be by using a condom that has been disposed of to inseminate herself, or being a victim of the baby trap to get free of his responsibilities, or his duties, rather, if he were a parent, and even being stripped of his rights to see his children, and also mandated to pay for them until the age of 18, raping him financially in his wallet, all of these things and more. Feminism has been able to essentially turn into points of power to use in debates as gotchas and buzzwords, which meant that any person found themselves even adjacent to the MRM, which includes male victims, of which I am one, to have to pay attention to who the fuck is advocating for him. Because if feminism can poison something like religion and become into a fucking church unto themselves, who fucking knows what untold damage they will do if they're able to get one in on our side. As far as I'm concerned, there is no such thing as a side. It's just people and whether or not they want to, you know, actually equate the rules of society as they were written. But what I can tell you that I know for certain is this. In this world, in my country, in the US of A, society is a two-part engine. Men are the fuel of that engine. This internal engine has been spinning forever, since the fucking world was made. Men are the fuel of society. We are its backbone. We are its muscles. We are its heavy lifters. We go into the fucking engine. And if we are so lucky as for someone to give us a crumb of, you know, encouragement, we would be happy. Whereas women, whether they be for or against whatever issue you're on, are the ones that are able to drive and steer the engine. That is just how society works for some reason. It doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter why it is, it doesn't matter how it is, or what color the woman's skin is, but more than likely, women are driving it, and the women who are in charge of the entire thing that's crushing you underfoot might be white. Them's the breaks. It's why it's important that men and women to work together, because it can't be the sexes against each other, because you need men and women to help each other to make society function. Because if there's always going to be a war of the sexes, it's always going to be men trying to fight women and women basically winning because they get to write the rules, whether or not those women want to admit it or not. One of those actual sexual privileges that women get to have by virtue of having wombs. Where am I going with this? Well, Chloe Roma is supposed to be an activist, right? But one of the many things that people have accused her of is being a grifter. And honestly, looking at these fucking t-shirt and hoodies prices, I kind of believe them. Fucking near $60 goddamn dollars for a hoodie. $35 for branded t-shirt merch. And this is the only thing that she has in her shop. With free shipping, over $100 for this shit. $100 in this shop by these prices, only because this is on sale for basically near half price, $20 off. Buying a hoodie and a shirt would be $100 in this shop. For comparison and consideration, this is the shop of a brand slash creator that I am a fan of and follow. Name is The Amazing Brando. And he has a video game project called Aventuria. It's a breakout project that he made after his last project with a now ex-friend, Dwayne of Dwayne and Brando, went south. A whole bunch of shit they've worked on for years. A whole bunch of music. His own music, branded shit. Well, not a lot in this shop. There used to be more. He has a Bandcamp and other things like it, but this right here is just what's in the Aventuria shop. Here you have a shirt for $15. You have a whole shebang of his own work, a Dwayne and Brando shirt, and Dwala's work, plus a signed CD for $60. Signed CD, $15. Taco Belmont poster. The exact kind of poster that I have hung up behind me with its own signature. $10. Aventuria bumper stickers, $7. Aventuria t-shirts, $20. Stickers, $8.50. How is it that this merch here is so fucking expensive? These better be some really good merch. I hope. Because I don't know if this is supposed to be the standard. But you can't catch me paying $60 for a fucking hoodie. I would not sell merch of my own for $60 fucking dollars. Clip that shit and take it to the goddamn bank and put it in my face if I am so stupid to do so in the future. This is highway robbery. But we don't know. That might be fine. That might be good. But something to consider. Now, let us begin our deep dive. One of the reasons and one of the ways to tell if somebody is a chameleon is to pay attention to how careful they are with words and how careful they are with being caught out for the words that they say and the things that they advocate. Chloe Roma's existence in the MRM has been called into question because of this response here on this video. But before we get to that, I have 3 other things to show you. Namely, Chloe, in her own words, telling you who she is. These are not very long at all, but we're going to watch this, and I'm going to let you come to your own conclusions before we get to this here on this response, and I start my analysis, dissertation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, of what she has to say and what she thinks and what she's reacting to. But here's Chloe in her own words at 2 times playback speed. Just gonna set these up. I don't like watching things in 2 times because we have things to do. Here's the first one. First one is her domestic violence story.
I didn't think that I was gonna have to make this video, and I apologize if I get emotional because I'm emotional and pretty angry already. But if I get emotional, please just remember that I'm a human being. I didn't think I was ever going to have to talk about this or defend myself in this kind of way. But there are some people, and quite increasingly so, that seem to think that they have the slightest clue about my past or what I've been through with the father of my kid. So I just want to say something to the people that have been continuously saying to me, "Oh, you fight for men's rights, but you're denying the most important ones," blah 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 blah. The bullshit, whatever bullshit you're spewing from your mouth. I apologize. Lots of people don't know this part of my story because as soon as I share it, I feel like they try to like discredit everything that I've done or I'm doing. But I just feel like it's necessary, so I'm going to say it once and I'm never going to talk about it again. The father of my kid is like the most traumatic and most abusive relationship I've ever been in my entire life. I choose not to go into detail because it's something I choose not to think about. But don't come at me talking about rights, because I have a right to my own safety. I had a right to be safe during my pregnancy. I had a right to not fear for my life and my child's life every single day. I had a right for the father of my child's favorite game to not be, let's choke out my pregnant girlfriend until she wakes up covered in her own shit. I had a right to feel safe. I survived one of the most horrific people I've ever been around. When my daughter was 3 weeks old, I decided to leave him. An incident occurred. I waited for him to fall asleep. I strapped her to my chest. I put a duffel bag in my hand, and I walked to a train station. I left my abuser my belongings, my furniture, my house. I left him everything because my safety and keeping my daughter in my care was more important. For those that don't know, I have a past with social services. I grew up with social services, obviously. So they know me. So for those that grow up in social services, you're stigmatized and you're at risk for losing your kid because you're watched really close. And so I made that choice for myself and my kid. I got an emergency protection order the very next day, in which I remained safe for about 10 months. 10 months after I had an emergency protection order against him, there was 2 court orders stating he couldn't come near me. I'll show you. He found me on the streets of downtown Calgary, chased me down with a metal baton. For those that don't know what that is, it's the things that the police carry that, chased me down and beat me about an inch from my life. But not only that, left me there without calling for help. So when I tell you that my child is not a part of her dad's life, it is for a reason. Do you understand? I shouldn't have to explain myself. If I breathe, sleep, shit, and eat men's rights, don't you think? Sorry. I'm allowed to have these kinds of feelings. Because when he went to trial, first of all, he was laughing at me the whole time I was reading my victim impact statement. Second of all, the detective failed to do his job, so instead of it being conspiracy to commit murder, it was assault with a deadly weapon causing bodily harm, in which he will most likely just get probation. So don't come at me, talking to me about rights. And don't ask me why I still advocate for men, because one man did that to me, not all of them. But as a woman, I'm encouraged to share my story and heal through that. Men, a lot of the times, just coming clean and looking for support for what they've been through is harder than what they've actually been through than that situation, because of how stigmatized and because they're not allowed. I'm allowed to be a victim. I'm allowed to be a survivor. And men just aren't. And that's why I fight to change this, and that's why I believe in this movement, because I relate in many, many ways. I know what it's like to supposed to be that big, tough person, but then you have this one person that like just makes you feel like the smallest, most pathetic person that's ever been. Strips you of everything you have. So don't tell me that I don't have a right to advocate or that my kid should be with her dad, because I know it's best. Thank you.
Really hard to watch. I've seen it before. There's more.
Hey, so today's a little bit more of a serious video. Today I have a message of mental health and suicide awareness. I'm going to share my own story from my suicide attempt 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I left my house with a massive bottle of prescription pills, and I didn't plan on returning home. I overdosed on pills that are called bupropion. It's a slow react that's meant to slowly release into your brain. But I took them so much, and by the time I got to the hospital, it was way too late to find my stomach. So for the next 3 days, this was me. I took over 80 pills, and for the next 3 days, I spent seizuring and convulsing so bad that it left my jaw unhinged. Now, naturally, these photos aren't very flattering, but I'm not here to be flattering. I'm here to just show the truth of what can happen when you ignore mental health. My bladder had shut down due to organ failure, which landed me in the ER with talk of putting a defibrillator in my lungs because my lungs were starting to fail. I'm here 2 weeks later dealing with traumatic brain injury, a crap ton of amnesia, and very possible brain damage. And I think the saddest thing is that I still can tell you why I did it. I woke up after that week with this amazing appreciation for my life, the movement that I built for myself, the hard work that I put in, my daughter, the people around me. I'm so lucky to be here. I think I'm telling you this because it's important to recognize that when I came out with it on TikTok, on Facebook, everybody said to me, "Oh my God, I had no idea. You look so happy. I had no idea you were hurting like this." And you know, a lot of the times it's like that. Some of the happiest, funniest people in this world are often the most broken. And we're broken because we neglect to look after ourselves, and we put that energy into trying to make other people happy. Because when other people are happy, we're happy. And when we're not feeding that into the world, we feel really lost. But sometimes we need to take that break and we need to feel lost so that we can put that energy into ourselves. I just want to educate you guys really quick on the red flags of depression, what it really looks like. Maybe a friend that is typically really social, really an extrovert, has now become, kind of mean, very short, very distant, isn't around very often. Maybe your friend group is starting to describe that person as toxic just out of nowhere. I really just want you to, if that is happening, if you can relate to that, if you're like, oh, maybe that is this person, just stop and think if there's anything that's happened in their life that has been significant recently, or maybe if events are just seeming to pile up on them. Try to have a little bit of patience and, try to reach out to them, just tell them, that you're not going to pretend to understand if you don't understand, but that your demons are there to listen to anything that their demons want to tell you. Those that will be wondering, I'm doing much, much better now. I'm in a really hard swing of work. Some amazing things are coming. My relationships are really building. I got rid of some toxic ones that I don't know if I would have recognized were toxic if it weren't for my accident. I still don't know why I did it, but I'm grateful that it happened to me because it showed me everything that I have to be grateful for. But it's really important to take care of ourselves before we get there. So, thank you for listening.
Last one.
Hi, my name's Roma, and this is my story time of how the father of my kid just basically got away with almost killing me. On March 17th, 2018, the father of my kid stalked me downtown in my city for 45 minutes and beat my head in with a baton. I fled him due to domestic violence when my daughter was 3 weeks old, and at the time of the attack, there was 2 court orders to stay away from me, including an emergency protection order. I had already been gone for almost a year at that point. This is your trigger warning. I'm about to show you graphic images. If you do not wish to see them, I will give you a second to scroll away. This laceration was at the back right of my head, 3 inches by 3 inches. This one was at the side of my head. This is just a faraway photo to show how big it was. I sustained these injuries along with multiple other ones from the baton. It took nearly 2 years to get a conviction. He beat my head in broad daylight, left me there to die. And this is what he got. I'm just going to read the important parts. He received 60 days jail for the 2 breaches, and he has time served for those from his time that he spent in custody. Meaning he went to jail for 60 days 2 years ago, and they called it a day. For the assault with a weapon, because that's all he got charged with. He received a 14-month conditional sentence order. It is a jail sentence served in the community and comes with very strict conditions. So, almost killed me, showed absolutely no remorse in court. No jail time. If he breaches his CSO, the Crown can apply to collapse the CSO and ask for the remainder of his sentence to be served in prison. He has 12 months probation with the following conditions: no drugs or alcohol, curfew 24/7 house arrest for the first 5 months. After that, for the next 5 months, he has a curfew between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. And in the last 4 months, he will have a curfew of 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. He has provided DNA sample, do domestic violence counseling, and he cannot have a gun. No contact order with Chloe Southerland is set as approved by ASPO. So I would just like to say that I have a huge problem with that, because I should be the only one to give him consent to reach out to me, and the answer is never. Never. No go to any known addresses of Chloe Southerland. Other counseling is directed. Report as probation. Now, typically, I would have blurred out the address, but they actually got the wrong address. That's not actually an existing address. He must remain peaceful. Weapons banned for 10 years. Remain in Alberta. And he must work. I tell you that the system is absolutely broken. I'm telling you that it is absolutely broken. Nobody should be envying anybody. Women should not envy men in the court system, and men should not envy women in the court system. This system is broken for everybody. There is unfairness and injustice that happens every fucking day to men and women like myself that are trying so hard just to protect themselves and their fucking kids. I feel like I wasted my time. But the important thing is that I taught my daughter that you stand up for yourself, and you don't allow anybody to hurt you like that. That man almost took my life. I never hurt him. I never beat his ass while he was pregnant. I never used to choke him out until he would wake up, covered in his own piss, and his fucking child squirming inside of him. When I left that man, I left him everything, including the house, everything. I never went for child support, and that's what I got. Ladies and gentlemen, is that it is fucked for all of us. Ladies, stop fucking blaming men. Men, stop blaming women. It is the systems that is oppressing us. We need to stop screaming at each other, pointing fingers at each other, and just look at these fucking systems and ask them what the fuck they're doing for us, huh? What are you doing to help? What are you actually fucking doing? So I spent 2 years of my life fucking wasted for nothing. Everything about that trial was wrong. The fact that it was a determining factor whether or not I had said any words to him before he attacked me is absolutely disgusting. This man just got away with what he did. And some of you may say, well, those conditions are tough and this and that. The father of my kid has been doing this. This is nothing new for him. He learned absolutely nothing. And now I have to spend the rest of my life and my daughter's life doing everything in my power to keep us safe because the system failed to do that. Thanks.
Very fiery. I want you, members of the audience, segment that in your head. Right? Because there's a bunch of videos. You can watch them if you have time to on the side. Her channel is Chloe is Roma Army, actually. Yes, Roma Army. You can go through them because she is a TikTok activist. That's how she was able to blow up. Why there's so many goddamn views like this. Most popular thing that she's done most recently was betting her current boyfriend, Anal, if he can call a McDonald's guy mommy 6 times. I don't have an opinion there. However, I want you to consider that with what we're about to watch, of the first of the longer things. This here is 52 minutes and 30 seconds. One after that is the main reply guy thing we're going to be actually watching, which is 2 hours, 8 minutes, 52 seconds. Even with this on 2x speed, we might be here for a while. Please take a moment to look at the size of the downvote on this video. That being said, let's go.
What's up, guys? You already know who I am. Today we're going to be reviewing
Hold on.
kind of blind reacting to a YouTube video
by the creator under the name of Think Before You Sleep that claims to be a men's rights advocate. However, from what people tell me, this video seems to be kind of very regressive and anything but. However, this guy seems to have a lot of criticism towards how I do things, how I am as a person, so I'm really intrigued. I accept many different forms of opinions, even if I may not agree with them, so I'm actually really excited to dissect this and, kind of go up against another men's rights advocate, and hopefully kind of be a good example and show you guys how it's supposed to be done. So, let's go. Nice guy. A genuinely nice guy shouldn't have to self-proclaim it. I'm a nice girl. Nice guys usually get used by the toxic women that know that they'll say yes to everything that they want, and then they completely miss us good girls. They completely miss us good girls. It's actually a red flag. Before I really dive into this video, I would really just like to point out to you guys that there's a lot of subliminal messages and kind of hidden things in this video. I definitely feel like that might have been one of them, repeating, us good girls, while I kind of said it, making it look like I was rolling my eyes. The fact that he repeated that twice, well, we'll see. It's actually a red flag for us when you are a self-proclaimed nice guy.
I always thought that content creators did what I did, which is watch all their videos before they post them. I guess they don't. I feel like if she did that, it would have been pretty easy to catch that she said she was nice and a good woman right after she said it was a red flag for a guy to proclaim that he is nice.
Well, I must say, sir, I do think that you owe it to your audience to make sure that you show them the entire clip of what I've said, rather than cutting something just specifically to fit your narrative, because had you showed them the entire video, this is what they would have seen. Genuinely nice guy shouldn't have to self-proclaim it. I'm a nice girl, but when I'm dating, I don't say, yeah, so I'm really nice.
But I agree. Proclaiming that you are nice or good is a red flag because there's no one you should be more suspicious of than a person who has to constantly tell people they are a good person. That's not something that you get to declare about yourself. It's a title that you have to earn.
The irony in that is that's almost exactly what I was saying in that video. I really encourage anybody watching this, especially if you're coming from his page, please watch that video in entirety because it's not what this guy's making it seem to be.
Well, anyway, for those of you who don't know, this is Chloe Southerland, and she runs a channel called Roma Army. Chloe is a 23-year-old Canadian who speaks out for men's rights and has built quite a following on TikTok. There's just one problem, though. She isn't actually helping men. I'll get into that, but first...
Well, I'm sorry that you feel like I'm not actually helping men. However, I do get countless emails and messages a day telling me that my videos do help and that they are making a bit of a difference. So maybe I would just encourage you to maybe just watch a bit more of my videos.
The first thing I'd like to draw to your attention there, out of the clip, one of the most important things I could actually ever tell you, is the first thing that I was talking about earlier, at the beginning of the stream. The most important thing to pay attention to is people using buzzwords. Now, the video that she's replying to here from Think Before You Sleep, I have not watched it. I'm not going to watch it during the stream. Mainly because I don't trust Think Before You Sleep to tell me what the fuck I saw, because I've seen almost majority of her videos. And she kind of has an iron solid case there. Can't use it to reply to it. But I can come at it from my own angle. One of the most important things when trying to work and understand a social chameleon, because they exist everywhere, it's one of the reasons why it's going to be a discussion that was had by HBR, is that if Chloe is guilty of being a social chameleon to hopefully get people to follow her and the energy of her channel growth, because, wow, here's a woman who beats all of the red flags that is normally purported by feminists. One of the biggest of being women who advocate for men are pick-me's. Women who advocate for men are pick-me's who just are doing it for attention, because they want attention and money. And the true people advocating for the rights of men are feminists, because feminists care about everyone. Any person who knows anything about any person who purports themselves as a feminist and does not put old school in front of it usually is a liar, because we know feminists don't care about men. Again, don't know if Chloe is a feminist, but what I can tell you for certain is that a lot of what Chloe promotes tends to be in the line of indeed trying to promote the voice of men. However, because of the fact that, well, I've been watching HBR for years, one of the most important things with vetting, and why vetting is important, is so that you do not have chameleons. For the reasons I said earlier. You don't want to have one of them become the fucking head of your fucking movement and the face of your movement. Because when that person fucks up, it weighs against all of you. Let's talk about nice guys and nice girls and what that fucking phrase means for a second. Which, realistically, would be talking about the very title of this, the very title of this video. Which, realistically, if you're talking about the word nice guy, you're talking about the word incel. Nice guy was supposed to be an insult that originally was the original word for incel, because before incel itself became a buzzword. It used to mean guy who was nice. Before any of this shit ever happened. Way back, when things used to make sense. A nice guy was a nice guy. He holds open the door. He pays for the meal, because he just does. He opens this door for you. He pulls out your chair for you. He's nice. He's a nice dude. He has no evil intentions for your daughter. He might want to clap her cheeks out, but only after he wins her hand first, and then asks you to marry for it. In this parlance, in this day and age, nice guy means man who wants to be seen as good because he really, 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 really wants pussy. The problem with this is the same reason why racist and sexist, homophobic, transphobic, sexual preference, and incel, and other words like it, don't mean anything anymore. Because when you throw out words like incel, you need to be understanding that when you're calling somebody this, you're not actually calling them an incel, right? How many people have been on Twitter to see threads where women throw out buzzwords to insult men, or actual legitimate incel men and women, because they exist, say the worst shit about either gender, just cuz. Not specifically because they're throwing shit back in their face, but just because they are that unhinged. You know, an Elliot Rodger type. Incel used to mean involuntary celibate. And now incel just means man that I don't like who's made me upset. It's a word that, since it doesn't mean anything, and it's usually only ever used in the worst derogatory fashion, you would hope somebody wouldn't use when describing shit. When someone as meteoric in their rise, like Roma, would use such a word, and said word gets used in such a way that she has a 50-50 ratio on a video, it gives pause to pay attention to. It's the worst fucking thing to worry about, because it has you doing mental flips and tricks. When people accuse somebody of, oh, well, you know what you were doing, you know what you meant when you said that word, it's one of the problems that comes with being aware of things, right? Because it's what an actual dog whistle sounds like and looks like when you're so astute and astute, when you know so much shit, when your head's like mine and it stores information. When you see that happen, you hope and pray that you're not seeing what you're seeing. Why I was so fucking worried and why I wanted to look into this. It's worrisome because if they say the right things, if they do the right things, if they speak the words, this is a phrase that I say a lot, those of you who see my shit. If they say the words, both real and imagined, if they pass all the checks, and you turn your head and you're like, oh no, they look legit, and all of a sudden you hear, and that's why the incels don't get pussy, it makes your head swivel, right? Now, in the clip, he has a point, technically. If somebody tells you, hey, you should worry about people who tell you that they're always nice, and then somebody says, hey, I'm a nice girl, it gives you the ability to say, hey, isn't that, you did the thing that you said don't do. Because that would be the first thing I'd say here. Yes, if Chloe is a nice person, she has an inability of being able to explain herself, speak clearly, and make sure that she's getting across her point. So I'll defend her here, only because I'm willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. There is no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, as a nice guy, or pick me, the female version of this. Pick me, Pick me being, of course, what I just explained about women. Women who want to be seen and picked for male attention and validation. Inside of society at large, on a general scale. What do I mean by that is very simple. It means there are people. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. There's no such thing as toxic femininity. There's just toxic people. There are people who get dick. There are people who get, to quote Chloe, no dick. And the reason people get dick and no dick is because they have either healed and learned their lessons from having bad relationships, have done the soul searching necessary to be like Carl and have all this self-awareness, self-confidence, self-improvement, self-growth, and be better people. And people who stick to just being evil, mean, toxic, in all the ways possible, that they are the perfect example of actual internalized problems. Like women who have hatred against their fathers. So they project their hatred about men because their daddy didn't give them enough attention. To quote a certain example. You see them all the time. It's one of the worst things. Because those kinds of people are the ones who basically have made what we used to call, and still I think call, the Church of Women Worsting possible. Church of Women Worsting, for those who aren't aware, means women have it worse, man bad, woman weak. Which is pretty much the war cry of feminism as a whole. Women are weak because men are bad and evil and strong. The patriarchy. A blue, 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 blue. The most important reason that I could tell you, most of all, on why it's so worrisome that it's a woman who's being questioned for this, is the thing that I told you earlier. Women are able to drive society. They get to decide the direction. They get to decide what's true and what's not. And most importantly, they get to decide who talks about an issue. Sadly, for the most part, right now, the people who get to drive society are feminists. Radical feminists who hate men and do not want them to speak, except when they are male advocates and male feminist shills that will say, listen to the women, support these women, because these women are right. You have to do your part to be a good ally and help promote women. The future is female. All those things. It's one of the reasons why the honey badgers have been around and have been trusted for so fucking long. Most of the people who lead it, Hannah Wallen, the Prim Reaper, Typhon Blue, Allison Tiemann, and for the most part, I can't remember the name of the Mexican male, but him, his wife, and the most visible member, Mike Christensen, yes, Christensen, Dr. Ambercam, they've been proven. They're out here. They are out here and they are pulling fucking scalps. And they always have been. People might sleep on them, but they've never stopped giving a shit. They've never stopped caring. They've never stopped fighting. Even when they get fucked over by things like the Calgary Expo. Because they really hated that Allison Tiemann is a woman who's out here making comics, who exists and advocates for men's rights. And has opinions. And because she's there and does that shit, they try to find ways to throw them out of Calgary Expo. They find ways to be able to just ignore the fact that they have to list their fucking trial that they were fighting for fucking years, trying to get help for. Inevitably losing because the system's broken, but fighting hard for, and always fighting for this shit at the same time. They don't have to be questioned because people know that they're hard in the paint. Here, with Chloe, we will more than likely see more examples, and probably we'll see the real big bombshell here in this video, so we can then watch it in the other one. But the point that I'm getting to, ladies and gentlemen, is that usually, much like with people who call themselves nice girls and nice guys, most people don't have to announce themselves like this. That's what I'd like to tell you. It's one of the most misquoted things, right? Real gangsters aren't gangsters who tell people when they show up, right? Real gangsters move in silence. A better quote that I could tell you is, real gangsters know when to move with volume and when to speak in silence. The honey badgers could always puff up their chests and say, hey, look at us, look at what we're doing, look at how we advocate, look at how we're out here doing this, but they don't. Not in the realest way, you know, not in a way that seems attention-seeking, the way that Chloe's content has been on the sites where she's promoted and where she promotes herself. They're just out here, hustling, grinding, doing the work, doing the labor. I'm not saying that Chloe's not doing hard work. I wouldn't dare invalidate a woman for what she's doing. But what I am saying is that it's very telling that she has this kind of reaction when somebody calls out something that she may have done wrong and may have misspoken on. Let's continue. Wait, Honey Badgers, where have I heard that name before? You heard that name before with these people. Honey Badger, Honey Badger Radio, Honey Badger Bites. Honey Badgers. They're a group of men and women who advocate for men's rights. You might remember them as being one of the people who were interviewed by Cassie J for the Red Pill.
Chloe is what is called a female chameleon. In a relationship, a female chameleon is a woman who will pretend that she likes the things that the guy likes in order to get him to like her. When she gets comfortable, she'll bait and switch and become a different person, which typically means she becomes an abuser because she's manipulating you into thinking that she was someone else. As far as the Red Pill goes, many women have figured out that if they watch a couple of Red Pill videos, they can become a chameleon, say the exact same things they saw in those videos, and get tons of men to follow them simply because it's a woman saying it.
So I find it very interesting, two things that he did there. Number one was automatically profiling me as someone that is probably an abuser. I'm not really sure where he got the perception from. But remember earlier how I said subliminal messaging? I think it's pretty funny because usually at the end of the video, some people will be like, so this is my conclusion on who this person is. Whereas this guy, but we're only a couple minutes in, and he's put right in the front, you know, basically, don't trust her. This is essentially subliminally saying this should be your view on her going forward. So I want to note that that's actually a really smart psychology term. However, it is low-key really manipulative.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Facts.
I have a counter to that right there. It's something that I saw the other day, because I follow her on Instagram for completely research-based reasons. And there was a stray comment that I saw under her shit that made me have pause. Hold on. Where is it? Where are you? Where are you, tweet of mine? Here we are. Right there. I have a screenshot here for you to look at. This is from some of her photos. While I'm doing that, let me just pull over the view so you can see it for yourself. So I can find the one that it's based on so you can see it for yourself. You can do a bunch of your research yourself and you can see her posts. But this is the post in which this message I'm about to show you is under. She posts a lot of pictures of herself. She's a very attractive woman. I would indeed tap it, but that's not what we're here for. This is the comment section of said post. Does anybody notice anything? Anything at all? Anybody? 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 Real G's move to silence like Chisley. No, wait. They get a bit of scuffle with Mr. Medicare. You mean Dr. Rammercam? Yes, indeed. That did indeed happen. You're describing Bully Hunter's Exhibit C. But can anybody in the audience tell me what's potentially not good about this picture here? Take your time. It's not a trick question. From the amount of silence, I'm going to assume people are either thinking or stumped. We don't know, Carl, tell us! Well, glad you asked. So, in this, you have a lot of things actually happening here all at once. If you scroll down through a lot of Chloe's media... Ow. Roma Sim. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Basic. If you scroll down through a lot of Chloe's media... through a lot of Chloe's media. Entitlement, good answer. If you scroll down through a lot of her media, you'll see a lot of posts of her posting herself. And they get a lot of views. A lot of her shit gets a lot of views. However, I want you to count how many pictures of herself that she posts. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically 5, but I'm not going to count that because that's thumbnail. 6, 7, 8. Not technically 9 because this is a video. 10. This is her boyfriend Callum, by the way, in case anybody wanted to see what he looked like. 11, 12, kind of 13, kind of 14. This is her daughter, by the way, by the man who abused the shit out of her. I lost count. I think we're at 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, no. Yeah, 21, 22. She has a lot of outfits. 23, 24, 25, 26-ish. 27. 28. I don't really count that because everybody was doing the FaceTiming shit. Or, not FaceTiming. Snapchat filters. But you get my point, right? A lot of pictures of herself. And just being happy free spirit. Right? Loves her child. Seems to love her boyfriend. Enough to give a man a... But, in this clip, right here, you have somebody asking her, would she ever consider getting back into modeling? Because she has so many goddamn pictures of herself on her profile. People saying, yeah, come on, bring back the look. And the man, 26, says, as long as Callum XO is cool with it, I guess it's all good. Callum chimes in saying, what does that have to do with me? And Chloe's response is, the day Callum thinks that he can tell me what to do in any aspect of my body or career is the day that I open the door for him and tell him to walk out. If Callum doesn't like it, he can leave like a normal person would if they did some... If Callum doesn't like it, he can leave like a normal person would if they didn't like something that their partner was doing and felt the need to control it. I'm not sure if the holy shit is for what you just heard me read or my inability to speak late at night. But does anybody now see what the potential problem here might be? Any hands? Any hands at all? Anyone? 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 Anyone at all? Again, no, there are no wrong answers here. Roma said some wild shit. What she said, Jesus? Yes. What we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is a classic case of double speech, right? Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a partner, a woman, dare I say, a hot woman. If I had a woman, if I had a girlfriend, a wife, whatever the hell I wanted to call her, friends with benefits who sleeps at my place and has stuff in a drawer. If I had a partner, or a man, because of course I do suck dick. If I had a man, or a woman, or a partner, whatever they were to me, and I was asked a question, hey, would you like to get back into doing some stuff? Perfect example. Hey Carl, would you ever get back into going into orgies if they paid you? There's lots of answers I could give you. And there's lots of ways that could go. But if someone were to tag my partner and said, hey, I guess if they're okay with it, I guess it's all good. The first thing that I would have communicated at any fucking point in time is, listen, you have to understand that I can't control the world. They're going to do some wild shit, they're going to say some wild things, and you have to be prepared for it, because you got to be ride or die, bitch. Are you ready for that shit? if that were to happen, I definitely would not say the day that my partner thinks that they can tell me what to do in any aspect of my life is the day that I tell them to kick rocks. If they don't like it, they can leave. I would not dare say some shit. Because number one, the first thing that does shows you a glimpse of what I actually think of my partner. Oh, if you don't like what the fuck I can do, you can kick rocks, bitch. There's lots of ways to say that, right? There's lots of ways to effectively communicate. Hey, if you don't like the direction in which I'm going, I understand, but I'm not going to stop for anything, right? There's lots of ways that you can come at it. But you don't project that onto social media, and you do not project the entitlement of believing that you can just say that shit. Now, if they say to you, listen, if these motherfuckers try you, you can tell them I said go fuck themselves. The energy that Chloe came at this person with and expressed this communication hits several kinds of red flags. Yeah, of aggression. In fact, when you look at this, it kind of puts the way that some shit that she told us about kind of goes, right? Again, not using this to invalidate anything that she said, because clearly the woman is honest, because she has evidence of it. However, I'm seeing some entitled here, sis. It is very, very heavy. Heavy on the ketchup. It is when I saw shit like this on her posts, because there's more shit. You look long enough, you will find it. I've seen plenty of messages and plenty of interactions like this on her timeline and shit in her content that I said to myself, I'm going to have to pay a very close attention to this. Why this video here was telling to me. Because here's her chance to communicate some shit in her own way, in her own style, while we're looking at it. That being said, I hope this opens some people's eyes up. And I hope you start paying attention as much as I have. That's what I was confused about the first time. That she could be that head ass of a person. Well, shit. Stupid ass phone not having a back. This is why I said there is no such thing as toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. There is just toxic people. A person's sex should never be a fucking thing to use to judge whether or not they are or are not toxic. You should not say, well, she's a toxic woman and she has toxic femininity, therefore, don't listen to her. Same fucking logic behind, oh, she has internalized misogyny, so she shouldn't be listened to. Right? It's the same shit. Same exact shit. So when you see something that says listening and responding to a men's activist who encourages incels views and behaviors, it shouldn't ever even be fucking framed in that way. Not just because of the fucking danger of using such a word as incel, but not coming at criticism with the right kind of energy and headspace. She might be upset that people are questioning her validity and her sincerity, but at the same time, she should not expect this to be anything other than what it is. Because realistically, this is what I talk about when I say social proof. Let me give you an example. If I were to scream at my audience, God damn it, I cannot stand the fact that I do all this hard work, I put in all this time, and y'all can't be bothered to fucking hit retweet. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Blah, 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 blah. Would that make you want to fucking support me? No, it wouldn't, would it? It would make you think, who the fuck are you? How dare you? Who do you think you are, Carl? Right? Right. Social proof is essentially the reason white women are able to drive society. Because who's going to believe people when they say things like, hey, don't trust that person, they're a dangerous individual? Men or women? In situations of dire stress and involvement, you're probably going to listen to men more, right? Because, aggressive, action-based, or action-oriented. They can act on the problem. They're already in hunter mode. Don't go that way. There's danger. Don't go over there. There's a fire. We'll find an escape over here. Right? But in common society, if a woman points a finger at a person, like a man at a park with his daughter, being a parent, and they say, ugh, that man must be a predator. He doesn't look like he's old enough to have a child. That is one of the many fucking ways in which a woman can destroy a man's life, on assumption and accusation alone. When a person says, no, you clearly can't be out here because you're an actual victim, there is no such thing as a male victim, men don't get raped, and a feminist says this shit in the face of a male victim, while saying, yes, you need to believe, you need to listen and believe the women aren't lying to you, when there's an estrewment of false allegations, there's a cockroach on my wall, of false allegations. These are the reasons to validate what people are doing and saying. The energy that you meet things with in seriousness, which is the word of the day, ladies and gentlemen, attenuation, increasing and decreasing the volume of something. We usually call it signal boosting. Putting the energy behind something to raise the importance and awareness of it can have dire consequences if you're wrong. We've already seen this happen with #MeToo. 20% of the time, you find a Harvey Weinstein. The other 80% of the time, you find an Aziz Ansari. There's a very clear difference between a man who is actively guilty of assaulting women, taking advantage of women, grooming women, and putting women in situations where, quite literally, he's nude and naked and says, come on, please, 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 just touch it. I can make your career happen. All you gotta do is just touch it. Come on. And a man who awkwardly goes on a date, is a bit clumsy. Sorry. I'm just such a mess. There's a difference between those two things. There's also a very clear difference of a woman like Asia Argento actively grooming a man and being a leader of said fucking movement. Jarring enough so that, surprise, surprise of all fucking people, the crazy woman herself, the craziest of activists that I've ever seen at least. Why is her name slipping my mind? The bald-headed lady who's still regrowing her hair. Rose McGowan, of all people, turns around and says, you know what? Actually, you're right. These motherfuckers are actually using us. But how quickly she turned on people like Alyssa Milano after figuring out, oh, actually, y'all motherfuckers are responsible for this? Y'all women allowed this shit to happen? You, female assistant? You brought Weinstein victims? Reasons why this shit is important. All we're here to do. Food for thought. Stuff yourselves. Make it enough, ladies and gentlemen. Of course not. Anybody can't understand work doesn't automatically equal results would need help. I trust people as far as I can throw them, especially if it's a rape case or DMS. In my case, I believe it when I see it. I've learned my lesson long ago with my own situation with my ex-fiance to not believe everything I see and hear. I spent 10 good years of my life in a bad relationship because emotionally I was not as astute as I was sexually. Out here with all this dick, but with no emotional experience in what to expect in a relationship. Enough so that a woman could manipulate even me, Carl. So, the first thing I did when I was starting to do this research was look into her background, which is why it shocked me that she had video proof and evidence of her being abused by a man, but still clearly saying, a man did this to me, not all men, and for her to behave like this. But at this point, I'm just filling for time. Let's move on.
What's up, guys? You already know who I am. Today we're going to be reviewing kind of blind reacting.
Why the fuck is that repeating itself?
The video video, somebody will be like, so this is my conclusion on who this person is. Whereas this guy put, we're only a couple minutes in, and he's put right in the front, you know, basically, don't trust her. This is essentially subliminally saying this should be your view on her going forward. So I want to note that that's actually a really smart psychology term. However, it is low-key really manipulative.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Facts About Men. Let's be honest here. The closest that men
Also, by the way, clips like these are the kinds of clips that you can find on her TikTok. This is why she's been blowing up so often. She's been really using TikTok to make sure she gets out there quickly. This is one of the other reasons why she's grown so fast, by the way. One of the things that I've noticed from people is they will get quickly behind something if it looks official enough. You know, branded merch, basic slogans, inbred house memes, shit like that. Put that together with enough charisma on camera that people can say, she's funny, he's funny. And pretty much any person can become a cottage industry overnight. Me, I don't have merch yet. Unfortunate. Coming soon. #TM Tradesnark. But she's been blowing up on the social media because of humorous shit like this. You know, standing on top of her daughter's Playmobil car while balancing and talking about shit, wearing her merch, showing off her tattoos, showing herself off in her pictures and videos, putting herself out there. It's what's gotten her big. So, you're going to see a lot of this in here. I have not watched this in completion. I've only watched the first 5 minutes. But you're going to see a lot of this. It's the main primary source of her content, at least. Other than the video about her offering calamanal.
men get in society to cared about or valued is whether or not they're deemed as useful.
Welcome to information that literally every Red Pill channel has said for the past 10 years. She isn't adding anything new. She is simply saying this stuff as a woman, and that's not useful, but it will get you a lot of followers.
You know, with all due respect, I can't help but notice that this guy has said twice, and I wonder how many times he's going to say it throughout the video. I want someone to keep track, but just because it's a woman doing it, or woman this, I kind of get a really misogynistic vibe off of this guy. You know, Red Pill, whatever, may have been saying it for the last 10 years, but that's most likely because it's true. And no offense, sir, but like I've looked through your channel, and there's absolutely nothing that you have said that is news to anybody, really. So if anything, it's a lot of repetitive stuff, and unfortunately, that's what you have to do to evoke changes. Unfortunately, we have to repeat ourselves every single day, so you might just not understand that. I don't know.
The fact of the matter is that if women want to help men not get screwed over, then they have a ton to offer. Imagine if there was a female YouTuber out there who gave critical analysis of all the manipulation tactics that abusive women use on men. It would be helpful to, for lack of a better term, learn from the masters.
So number one, he said, women repeating men's issues is not useful. He said, if we want to be useful, then we should be giving critical analysis on other women's abusive behavior, because then it'll be, what did he say, giving lessons from the master. So in case you don't really fully understand what he's saying that a woman's only value in men's rights is calling out other women, because who better to know than us women? It's basically making the assumption that we're all manipulative, so our job is just to call out other women. And you know, on that, I'm not sure, sir, if you've seen my page or my TikTok, or maybe if you're just purposefully trying to manipulate your following, but I do that quite often. And I really encourage you guys to check out my YouTube, check out my TikTok, check out my Instagram, check out my Twitter. Yeah, this guy's definitely wrong, but let's get back into it.
And some
That's not what he meant when he said that. And that's certainly not what you should understand from trying to dissertate that in your brain. For an example of what I mean, let's go to one of the masters. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, for one night only, the master of the rhetorician. His words from a distance blows up the minds of people who cannot even bear to even say his names in hushed tones. And his music soothes the soul. I clicked the wrong link. And his music soothes the soul of any person who would dare give it time to be listened to. Or maybe I did click the right link. I don't know. No, I did not. Bad. Where's my cursor? There it is. Bullshit. This Dr. Ranvikan, Mike himself. Any person who's familiar with Dr. Ranvikan's content knows that he has a bunch of playlists of not just his music and his original songs that he's made for his videos, but the good doctor himself has been doing this shit for so goddamn long. We have content going back to, like, what, 7 years at this point? 7, 8, 9, 10? I don't even remember anymore. But a playlist of 286 videos. Some videos like that of things calling out individuals. Like, for example, salt porn, Emily Lynn. Skies Like Black Eyes, Rose McGowan, Jordan and Peterson versus Kathy Newman Fixed. Satire and critique, but there's a lot of them here. The regular episodic series of The Ragening between himself and Allison Tiemann, the woman who founded Honey Badger Radio. Boys Will Be Goys, Tucker Carlson versus LGBT TTTIQQQAAPP. Don't Call Me Dan, news broke. The Ghost of Bullshit Yet to Come, Katie Smurthwaite. The Zebra Crossing Fallacy, Stephen Colbert. One which is a re-upload, Burbling Sash, ContraPoints, Step Upper Lip, Robert Webb with David Mitchell. And many others. Classics in the playlist of Dr. Ramakan vs. the World. This is a near 300 video, what used to be a near 200, which used to be a near 100 video, of nothing but lessons, examples, demonstrations of exactly how the fuck to spot what people are fucking doing. The master who gave us words like AIDS picking, shit sprinkling, and other details to define, in the moment, the shit that people are doing to try to deceive you in videos, in content, about people like the janitor, Pig Puncher, Nita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, Felicia Day, Lacey Green, fucking Big Red, whose name is slipping my mind at the moment, Chani Binks, and many others who have come, gone, and possibly may have never been, or are no longer. Everything that you would need to know, if you have the time to look into it, even on, like, off days, even for the ones that are not necessarily focused on a single person, but are about events, like, for example, when they were there at VidCon to hear Sargon be called by Nita Sarkeesian a garbage human being. Many examples of exactly what Think Before You Sleep is describing. A literal master of satire, humor, and comedy, using satire, humor, comedy, analysis, and general paying attention to what the fuck people are saying to demonstrate when they are not being honest, and when they are trying to sell you something. Much like how I am demonstrating this is me demonstrating to you an example of exactly what Think Before You Sleep is saying. If you want to help and show how you can best help, demonstrate what you know. Show your work, is what he said. Honey Badger Radio, and people like them, people who are advocates, people whose names have been repeated more popular than people like mine, are doing exactly that. Every single day. You might not know their names, but they are out here. They are hustling and grinding. If you listen closely enough, you might find them. What he did not say was women are only useful to call out other women. That's not even close to what he fucking said. The worst interpretation that you could have gotten from that, by the way, was not women's only purpose to men's rights is to call out other women. It is women who wish to see men do better have a duty, not responsibility, because duty is an optional choice that you can choose to not fulfill, and responsibility would be something that you have no choice in doing. You must do this. They have a duty to do their best to call out examples of people who are shitting and selling you something. The reason why, as I've already explained at least 3 times now, I think, but I'll say again, is because if you're somebody like Allison Tiemann, who she herself has attempted suicide because she was like, fuck it, I've been out here for this long, what's the fucking point, I want to end it, and nearly fucking strangled herself to death on fucking, not razor wire, but the rolled wire, the wire that's meant to be taut and strengthened and used for a substitute in fencing, that kind of wire. I want to say fiber optic, but it's not fiber optic. You know what I'm thinking of, if you know what I'm thinking of. That thing. That wire. Nearly choked herself to death on that wire out on her farm. where she was only saved because her husband discovered her when she went missing. Even Allison said to herself, what's the fucking point? It feels like I'm not making any effort. I feel like I've failed all those people I want to help. Even she can tell you, both in her own words and also from their fucking HBR debate about it, the most important thing is to weed the liars out of your movement. Not just because you need to have women do that, but because it's important to do so, because you don't want them to grift off of your thing and potentially make your thing bad. But it's also important that there be women who do it, not because that's women's worth, that's what they're good for, but because the easiest fucking defense ever used by feminism and any other group that wants to shout people down is, lol, who should listen to you? You're a man. In society, people usually don't give a shit about things like rape unless it is a woman suffering it. In which case, if a man says, yo, I've been raped, and I kinda hate it that nobody takes it seriously, rather than saying, oh my god, you dear little poor sow, how could you have been taken advantage of? Come here, let's shower you with the money of the world. They are instead told, where were these teachers when I was in school? It's not taken as serious. And when women tell other women, hey, that's kind of shitty how you just told that man that his rape doesn't matter because he has a dick. Other women in feminism, for example, will say, bitch, who fucking cares about your opinion? You're a fucking pick-me. It's important for women to push back against this shit, not just because of how dangerous the rhetoric is, and how often the bias and the double standards are actively leaned on, but because the most important thing to embolden men to speak out for their own fucking rights is when the opposite fucking gender does too. Because when it becomes a struggle of not men to get their rights from women, but men and the women who support them trying to get their rights for men, it no longer is a struggle of the sexes. It's both sexes working together. And when both sexes work together, more gets done. Because this is exactly how women's rights got its advocation. When it was about actual equality and not raw-dogged female supremacy at the expense of disposable men, made disposable by a radical feminist society that tells women that they are victims while at the same time telling them that they are empowered and strong. Polywire. Listen, my brain is weird, okay, basic? I was trying to come up with a word for polywire and it just wasn't coming. But just as much as it was important with the suffrage movement and the civil rights movement to get women the Equal Rights Act of 1963, something that feminists refuse to actually acknowledge because they really, really, really want to sell you the lie of the pink tax and of the pay gap. Men stood behind women in society and said, yes, let's go do this. You know, the ones that didn't bomb courthouses and create IEDs to terrorize people. Men stood behind women to help them get these things in the first and second wave movement. And just like then, now women have to stand behind men. Because without women standing behind men, these men will be mocked, antagonized, and ignored. And I'm not just talking about incels, and I'm not just talking about victims, but all men. Babies, boys, young adults, grown adults, elderly, men. Men need women just as much as women need men. Fact. However, much like how I pointed out to you earlier with the evidence that we have to suggest that that Chloe may not be what she seems, the compassion is what we need, not fiery warriors. We're not fighting a war. We're trying to convince people to maybe please stop stabbing men in the spine and telling them that they are raping them at the same time they're killing them. The best way to demonstrate this is to show us examples of people who are doing exactly that. in the exact ways, the exact patterns, and the exact tactics that they're abusing that help them get away with the fucking sins that they've been able to do. In plain sight, in broad daylight. To turn such advice, really good advice, please show your work, show us what you're trying to show us, which she does eventually now do, by the way. Peep game. To take that and say that he said, you're only useful to us in this way, not just disingenuous, downright snaky. Something that we might end up seeing a lot here in this video. Again, maybe she just miscommunicated. Maybe she didn't. We will continue to watch, and you decide. Don't just go off of my opinion. Use your own opinion. Let's continue.
Some women have done that. Diana Davidson did a video on Dahlia DiPolito, a woman who hired a hitman to kill her husband. When Dahlia got caught, she was able to manipulate her husband, who she tried to kill, into helping her get out of jail. She still went to prison, but wouldn't it be great to hear what specific techniques that Dahlia used to manipulate her husband, even to help her?
I think what absolutely blows my mind about that is that, number one, this guy's very clearly misogynistic. He hates women, and you can tell that by the fact that for some reason he thinks that I would be able to watch a video like that and be like, yep, this is how she did it, this, and this. And he thinks that because he believes that all women are manipulative, all women, what did he say, for lack of better terms, taking lessons from the masters, it's just very clear that this guy has some...
Who heard the problem in that sentence? Show of hands. Anyone? Class members? Anyone? Who heard it? Also, let me just read the comments really quick. The unsung heroes. Yes, indeed. Basically, just peep the tech, learn the trade, and call it out with the info you gained. Pretty much. But who heard the problem, the contradiction just now? Who heard it? Anyone? Carl, we don't know. Please help us. No problem, voice in my head. The first thing she says is, wow, this guy really seems to not like me. Wow, this guy really seems to not like women. Well, clearly this man is misogynistic. He must think that I'm evil enough to be able to sit down and watch that and point out this, and this. She just did the very thing she's accusing him of. How quickly? 3 clips. That's how fast. That is the first L she's gonna have to hold. Because that was plainly obvious. I don't know if think before you sleep is misogynistic. However, the example he just gave was fucking valid. This woman manipulated her husband. Here's the way that she manipulated her husband. Please, if you see this happen, pay attention to how she manipulated her husband in the future. So if you see this shit happen, know that this is what's happening. To give a better example of that, let's go to somebody who's actually helped us do that very exact same thing. Y'all might know him. God damn it, I'm forgetting the name of the Johnny Depp. That should find it. Johnny Depp. Let's see here. Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. Because I can't remember the YouTuber's name right now for some goddamn reason. It should come up. Here we go. Incredibly Average. Who is aware of Incredibly Average and his amazing coverage of every single important step of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard divorce and not debasement, defamation case? I covered this on my very first episode of Top Keck. This is a man who did so much goddamn work that his shit has been reshared and used in so many goddamn videos to demonstrate exactly what Amber Heard has been doing. Watched all of it? Absolutely. This is the example that he's describing there. I'm extremely new to this type of content. Peep game, basic. I'm teaching you. Carl's here to give you the sauce. Don't use too much of it. It's spicy. But what Simply Average has done is exactly what Think Before You Sleep just described, right? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is the one? Where is the first one that is important here? Ah, yes. So, here's the one that started it all, right? I covered this not only in live tweets, but also with reviews of the content. Because on the first episode, I had Jay Longbone and Chatmore with me to go over it with the audio. But here is an example of him going through every single piece and parcel of documents, testimonies, and cross-referencing testimonies and information to factually deliver how full of shit the Amber Heard camp was with their allegations and accusations of Johnny Depp and their behavior. Long before we ever got the information that outright shows us that she was on some bullshit and that Amber Heard planned to fuck Johnny Depp, here he was on November 14th, 2018, giving us the drip, going through the evidence, setting up the details, showing you how it all connects together, step by motherfucking step, all to piece together how it's impossible this shit could make sense. He took shit that didn't make sense and he made it make sense. He held your hand, the entire hand, and said, listen here, here's how the bitch did it. And he didn't just make a single video, he made several. He refuted every single thing a person could need to refute. He refuted how impossible the allegations were. He refuted the time, the place, the course of action, the layout, the laid out, and everything else, including full audio. I don't even know how the fuck he got some of this shit, and I'm good at this shit. He did it all. All of it. Every single fucking heartbreaking second. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not evil for doing the work, doing your research, just like we are right now. You're not evil for doing it. There's never any time where you're gonna be called evil for having the fucking balls to do the groundwork and let people know, hey, if you don't got the time to find out, here you go. Here's your context. This is one of those things that irritates the shit out of me because I see it happen a lot. You know, I'm a very wordy man. Many, many times, Jay herself has told me, Carl, you need to fucking condense. Condense, nigga. I can say that because we're on YouTube. And I'm black. I'm light-skinned black. But many times, Jay has told me, you gotta condense because you're wordy. People don't pay attention very often. So people pay attention to loud sounds, good branding, and big words being used exactly, exacerbably, directly, with that spice, that flavor, that sauce, that fire. People react to it. People latch on to it. But how many people are going to do the work? How many people are going to do the research? How many people are going to look up something and say, actually, I don't believe you, and here's the thing that tells me that you're wrong? If you were to take that information, if you were to give them an archive of, oh, you wanted the facts? Here you go. How many times do you think in a fucking hour, let alone a day, when I present some shit like that, on whatever topic I want to talk about, somebody tells me, I ain't gonna read that. I ain't gonna watch that. Fuck you. I ain't got time for that. How many times do you think I hear that on a regular fucking basis? A lot. The answer is a lot. People don't like research. People don't like information. They don't like fact-finding because they want to be mad. They want to be right. They don't want to fact-find because fact-finding, that's hard work. They don't want to do the fact-finding. They want to play video games. They want to watch movies. They want to do content. Maybe legitimately they just literally don't actually have time for it. It's like if you were to sit down and say, I want to watch Detective Conan, not Case Closed, Detective Conan from the beginning. And you're like, oh, there's 900, not over plus 900 episodes. There's exactly how many? 968. And each one's 30 minutes. It's like trying to binge the most important thing in your life, but you literally are just turned off from doing it. Maybe the topic in question is not something you care about. Maybe you really do care about it. Maybe you're in college. And the difference between you getting your degree and you taking another year and using more money is doing research and shit. Detective Conan is case closed. It's the thing that was featured before in the 90s. You know, Jimmy Fudo, that thing. You know Detective Conan? We're not saying case closed. Exactly. If you don't know what Detective Conan is, I'm gonna show you. Detective Conan is very big in Japan. Enough that he has his own fucking statue. Made in gold. At least I think it's gold. It might actually be bronze. But this. Detective Conan. Case closed. Orange YouTube. Well, this is case closed, in case you didn't know. Very popular detective manga, by the way. Popular enough that it's still fucking going. Has a lot of crossovers with its sister series, Magic Kaito. But, getting back on topic. The amount of times in which people have literally been able to get away with literal fucking crimes. For example, how often Zoe Quinn has been able to get away with the fact that not only did she murder Alex Hawaka by accusation alone. I heard a door open. Not only has she killed Alex Hawaka by accusation fucking alone, when he himself predicted that somebody would accuse him of being something that he was not on Facebook in an archived post that everybody was able to find, especially after his death. All that time and all that shit. How all of that swept under the rug. The Quinn conspiracy swept under the rug. Gamergate, which technically wasn't about Zoe Quinn, it was about the reaction everybody had to hearing that Zoe Quinn was fucking her way up the corporate ladder, swept under the rug. Because nobody wanted to do the research, nobody wanted to talk about this very clear problem. They wanted to talk about, gamers being over, gamers are dead. Because they had the audacity to question a woman fucking her boss while also silencing her boyfriend with a fucking court order. Nobody wanted to do the research because the research was boring. They wanted to do the thing that was popular and cool, which is saying SJWs are bad and anti-SJWs are stupid. It's the reason why my brain, every time I hear the goddamn word, wants to re-render it as because it doesn't do anything. You need more than fucking buzzwords. You need papers, you need evidence, you need archives. You need something that when people ask a question and they say, is that real? You can produce to them and say, here you go. But also, you have to idiot-proof. You have to give them what they want, but in the way they want to have it. Which you shouldn't do, because you shouldn't ever cut up the truth and select what you want. It's not a piecemeal thing. You take the whole damn thing and you accept it for what it is. When you start chopping up the truth and just re-rendering it in whatever speech you want, then you have now politicized truth itself. I don't like Pravda. I hope none of you like Pravda, because Pravda is what we're getting in this election cycle right now. People literally saying lies, while at the same time saying that those lies are true, and then the actual truth proving those lies from before false. Who paid attention and saw Biden literally almost get away with his son having his shit covered up for him? That's what happens when people do that. Whether or not they want to do the interest, whether or not they want to look into it, no matter if it's something as stupid as video games, a change in a video game even. If you don't put in the effort, anyone can lie straight to your fucking face. So you have to do the research. You gotta do the effort. Somebody has to. Because if nobody does, evil wins. All it takes for people to win, evil or not, is for people to do nothing. I'm not going to say good, because that's how the quote goes. In order for evil to win, all it takes is for good men to do nothing. The reason I say people do nothing is because people in this day and age are lazy. They hope that somebody else will do the work for them. But as I've learned myself, you have to do the work because no one else will. And also because when people say, actually, that's not real, you can reveal your own work to them and say, yes, it is. Here's my example. Here's the links that I got it from. Here's the videos that I watched in order to get that information. Here's the dissemination. Here's the dissertation. Here's the breakdown. You want it in a short answer? I can give it to you short. You want a 1-minute answer? You want a 5-minute answer? You want a 10-minute, 15, 20, 30, double the time of the content, 10 hours, EFAP style? They don't have answers when you do that. They stammer over themselves and they say, oh, because they didn't expect you to have the answer. They didn't expect you to do the work. They expected you to be lazy. They expected you to repeat the same shit that they're saying. They expected you to use the buzzwords. They didn't expect you to have a whole ass fucking archive of shit. Worked up a sweat on that one. But incredibly average is an example of what we're trying to get to here, with what is important with that, in case you were wondering. Let's move on. But also, let me first read your comments. I imagine Conan the Barbarian doing detective work. Having an actual discussion is very hard. It's a lot easier for people to stab back and forth with insults and fragmented facts. Even when people bulletin out facts, they say, I'm not reading that shit, insert insult. Yes, true. In some cases, you should not actually read what people are saying, because it's like a lefty meme. They can't get to the point. But we're not talking about memes. We're talking about facts and information. When offered information on something that you really want to know, your answer should never be, oh, I'm not going to do that. Oh, I'm not going to read that. I'm not going to look at that. Why should I look at that? Your answer should be, okay, let's look at it together. The unaltered source with a good link and with the evidence to prove it. And in fact, let me download that shit so I can look at it later. That should be the answer. Your answer should never be, I don't want to read it. It's inconvenient. I don't have time. Blah, 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 blah. Because that too is laziness. And that lets them get away with it. Can you be more to the point? Can I be, for example, can I get more to the point and not go on tirades and splits downs? Yes, I can. But if I don't tell you the reason why, if I don't give you context, then you don't know. If I don't explain to you what the trick is, if I don't give you examples of what the trick is, if I don't show you how the magician did what he did, what are you going to learn? Are you going to be able to recognize it in the future? Are you going to fall for the same thing over and over again? And you scratch your head and you're like, man, I swear I've been here before, but shit, I don't know what the feeling is. I'm just going to do the thing. Oh, god damn it, it happened again! Do you really want to be out here and get tricked like that 50 billion times by the same snake oil salesman in every single industry and business that they exist in? Or do you want to protect yourself and be ready? You gotta be ready so you don't have to stay ready. You want to stay ready? I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you how to swing some shit. And then with that being said, let's continue.
Something against women. There's a lot of systematic problems. It is actually not useful at all to go after specific people because all that does is put people's brain on that specific story. As men's rights advocates, we need to be speaking for the bigger issues and actually directing the attention at the systems that are oppressing all of us. But go on. It's actually very apparent to me now that this guy has never seen any of my content. Sir, do you know that I do red flags for men so that they can see through toxic traits? You know that I have a segment called No Dick, which is literally all about teaching guys to identify toxic traits in women, which actually is new ideas because, society teaches men to just kind of put up with whatever a woman throws at them. Lots of guys don't recognize things like slapping, calling names as even abusive. They're hesitant to classify it as that even if they knew that that's what it was. So, I heavily disagree with you, and I would strongly encourage you to take another look at my YouTube, really watch my videos, and then give me another reaction video.
What Chloe is doing.
Who's familiar with Christy Winters? That might be a name that not many people know. A very popular video from Christy Winters. I have to reopen my tab. A very popular video from Christy Winters is demanding that people who say, lol, you're stupid and I don't like your content, I don't believe you, is really go out there, really challenge yourself, and just find some robust knowledge. Of course, you know this was going to be a Dr. Rambercam plug. This is one of the things that Dr. Rambercam is really good at. He's really good at shortening and condensing and demonstrating points that might be lost on you otherwise. But Christy Winters said this 3 years ago. And 3 years ago, Mike made this. The clip itself is not very, very long, but I'm going to let you watch some of it so you can get the point.
Why not take up the strongest, most robust feminist argument you can find and really challenge yourself?
I think I figured out what that was, Christy. Apart from the greatest concentration of facial smug that can be and has been stuffed into a billy can. I asked you to nominate someone or something you consider robust about feminism. Yeah, and you did go on to nominate a book. I don't read books much, hardly at all. I listen to audio books because I like to do two things at once. And I can't do a second thing while reading a book, not even listen to music or exercise. Books require my attention undivided, and my attention does not do that. People are often surprised to hear that. To quite a shocking amount of people, reading thick slabs of paper is synonymous with intelligence. Or is B is contingent on A, as it were. Moreover, the thicker the slabs, the smarter you are. Then, for some reason, an impressive vocabulary is considered a sign of book learning. Well, take me, like a data point. I don't read books, but I'm very good at making music, I'm very good at making videos, I'm a very gifted orator, and I have an extended lexicon that would make Johnson weep. Are we to remain elitists of dark age information technology? Or might I be evidence that your thick slabs of pulp are not necessarily the keystone of an intelligent mind? I suppose I'm left with the burden of proving my intelligence. But not right now, Christy. Right now, it's your burden to prove yours. It's obvious to me now that John rolls aside, you were nominating yourself. It was a sign of frustration, if anything else, a cry for attention. Why do you always talk to those young, misguided, pretty-hipped bimbos when you could be making me famous? Okay, Christy, if you insist, we'll take a look at a robust feminist channel. Christy Winters, there you are. Videos. You saw this. Yep. So, we've got a video about bearing, another video about bearing, a video about Trump, a video about Sargon, Trump again, bearing again, bearing again, bearing again. Oh, baseface. Combo breaker. Good guy, too. Okay, Sargon, bearing, Trump. Oh, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Trump, bearing. Oh, Dawkins! I see a Dawkins! Dawkins has showed up on this scene. What is he? Is he just watching, is he? Alright, Sargon. Oh yeah, I can't be bothered anymore. The time has come for this to bear repeating. And to repeat bearing. Bearing, Trump, Sargon, Trump, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Trump, bearing, Sargon, Sargon, bearing, Trump, Sargon.
That's like even lower, right?
I have to restart this in the beginning. It's better if you see it in one-time speed. Hold on. I'm still making a point, by the way. I'm demonstrating to you what Chloe just did. Because Christy Winters did the same thing. This is what a lot of people tend to do. They say, lol, have you ever seen my content? There's no fucking way you could have seen that. I suggest that you read my content more. You should learn more. You should read more. You should do more. Me, I'm a person who, rather than saying, here's what you should do, I take you by the hand and I say, alright, I want you to stand there, I want you to watch. I'm gonna do some shit. And I make you watch me break down how you're full of shit. That's what's happening here. But more importantly, I just want to show this video off, because everybody should see this. Come on, video.
To repeat bearing. Bearing, Trump, Sargon, Trump, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Trump, bearing, Sargon, Sargon, bearing, Trump, bearing, Sargon.
That's like even lower, right?
Bearing, Trump, Sargon, Trump, bearing, Sargon, Trump, bearing, Sargon, Trump, Sargon.
That's healthy. Oh, how dare they? Oh, how. Isn't that
Self-refuted. Huh?
Oh, how.
Okay, Christy fucked up. She's a... But she's a cocky dick bitch asshole. Dick asshole. Dick nice guy. You're a cunt. Fuck off.
As it should become very obvious, Dr. Rambercam is a master of the YouTube poop. And these are things that he regularly does and still should continue to do. Much like how I just demonstrated before, I can get to the point or I can give you details, but when I can do both at the same time, it is the bop. One of the easiest ways to recognize the full of shit thing that Chloe did there was for me to show you exactly what she did, but in a separate situation, under different pretenses. As the dumb kids say, there are no bad tactics, just bad targets. And in this case, Chloe decided that she was not the target of how a trick like that should work. So, using the trick of the trade, she said, "Sir, you have clearly never seen anything I've made. You clearly hate me. You clearly hate women. You need to see more of my work. You need to spread me around more. Show people what a real one doing it the right way is." Should be very fucking obvious. But again, if you don't pay attention, if you don't see this shit happen often, if you don't make yourself aware, if you don't have multiple sources that are at least able to inform you, if you don't inform yourself by being in the shit and realizing, oh, that's what the fuck they did to me, or you don't watch other creators who have done this before and, you know, have a conveniently large fucking playlist of, you know, firearms to pull of, beautiful rhetorician munitions to use to demonstrate your point, like I do right here, right now. The best way to tell is if the person does the very thing that they're telling you not to do. Chloe claims that she's being taken out of context, so she takes a person out of context. She says, this person is accusing me of being hateful and being a chameleon, so I'm gonna accuse them of hating women and clearly not knowing anything about me. As he quotes examples of my work. I'm almost certain somebody somewhere has made an apology to her, because I know that there was somebody who did indeed take her up and tried to refute her and then apologized for it later. I'm not apologizing for shit. You ain't getting an apology out of me. I stand behind what I say, and I'm saying it because I think it's right. And I'm saying it not only because I think it's right, but because evidence in front of me right fucking now, it ain't looking good for you, honey. Fuck no. You don't know me. Now hit that bell icon and leave a like. Oh my. Takes me back. Let's keep moving forward, ladies and gentlemen.
Chloe is just parroting information that men have already said and attracting simps purely because it's a woman saying it. In their minds, they think, see guys, she really gets us. Chloe cares about men and has sympathy for our issues. But does she really? No.
Damn, dude. Are you okay? I'm not trying to be rude, but like, damn, have you ever been left in your life? Jesus.
No, she doesn't. She is actually in favor of some of the major issues that are harming men. The number one issue for men is family court. The issue is not some abusive chick that you dated 5 years ago. The actual problem is that feminists lobby the government to create laws that highly encourage abusive relationships and encourage the enslavement of men.
Okay, sorry, I must be confused because just a minute ago I thought...
This is something that Think Before You Sleep is actually wrong about. Chloe actively tries to talk about issues about family court, not just because it's a good tactic to do, but because she actually does have a reason to be against this, considering that the court system, especially in Canada, where she lives, Snow, Mexico, is really fucked up when it comes to the court system. Not just a human rights tribunal, you know, the one that has been popularized by the bill, that, well, I think it was what, Bill C-16, 316? I forget. It's been a while. But the bill, hashtag TM, straight snark, the bill that Jordan Peterson famously was trying to speak out against, that bill. In the Human Rights Tribunal, in the family court system, in any court system really, considering how overtaken with radical feminists they are, there's just a very shitty system that's designed to fuck you over. It's very much like this here in America. But over there, oh shit, they don't even have a SCOTUS, dude. they really don't even have a SCOTUS. It's really bad. Really bad! So that is a point against think before you sleep. However, Chloe is still trying to push the onus of the conversation onto think before you sleep as though he is making no point at all. If you were being under fire for something like this is not how you would communicate that. You would not become... I wouldn't say batty. And I wouldn't say bitchy either. You wouldn't become antagonistic and start doing the thing that the person who's accusing you is doing. High road. Always high road. It's not blood sports, where you actually have to do that, because people in the audience are going to lie about you, where the person whose stream you could be on, if you're not on a third party who's going to be partisan, or excuse me, not partisan, bipartisan would be, if you're going into a lion's den, you should be quippy. You should be antagonistic. Because blood sports is not a place where people are going to give you the chance to be heard and will consider facts and evidence. It is very much a hug box. Left-wing hug box, right-wing hug box, hug box. Any person of this channel who's been here long enough to remember all the way back to a year ago when we fought somebody in his hug box. The corn cob himself, Jake. I trounced this motherfucker by just simply having a camera on and allowing him to do his thing and demonstrate to an audience how much of a fucking liar he is. Yes, I'm drinking hot sauce, I'm weird. Much like I did then. The low road does hit different. The low road does hit different indeed. Much like I did then. In any situation where you're in blood sports, you have to be fiery. However, the problem is that blood sport-like debates, Twitch debates, shit like that, it's always going to be partisan. You're always going to have somebody playing to their audience. You're always going to have somebody playing to a narrative. There's nothing you can do about that. Really, there really is nothing you can do about that. That's how it's designed, by default. By default, you're fucked. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter who you try to back. If you're not backing yourself, you're always going to be trying to play to something. So you would hope that you're on the side that is actually in the rights of the law. But when you're having what's supposed to be a polite dissertation and refutation of accusations, you should never be antagonistic, even if you're upset and mad, because your anger will be used against you. This is why the words you use and the energy that you speak with is very, very important. I know I've said that probably 15 fucking times by now, but it's important that I repeat it. You know, because sometimes people don't listen the first time, so you have to repeat it again. We learned that from Roma. Let's keep going.
I thought you said that if women wanted to be helpful to men in combating real men's issues, that we would, pick apart those videos of women and show men the specific manipulation.
Again, that's not what he said. He's saying, show your work, bitch.
It's what I said actually is a bigger systematic problem, which you seem to be aware of, but I'm actually very intrigued to see where this is going because I think, again, you might be heavily confused.
One of those laws is child support. Guess what? Chloe believes in child support.
However, there are women that they're entitled to that. Absolutely. If you fuck up her life, fuck up her mental health, and leave her with a kid to look after, yes, you need to pay her child.
That is inconsistent. Because what she was talking about was aggressive and fucking evil men. Like the man who beat the shit out of her. And for the record, you should agree with that. Now, unfortunately, that's not Chloe's fault. I'm getting up to walk because my legs hurt. I've been having weird cramps in my thighs, so I have to make sure I don't stretch wrong. It is not Chloe's fault that alimony and child support exists. Child support exists not because it's supposed to be a punishment for men, even though it's basically used like one, because, again, weaponized court systems in a political way. But child support exists because you need to support a fucking child. That's not her fault. That's just how the system is. It's also, with the new turns that are coming, that women, just like if men are abusive and don't want to be responsible parents, should be made to pay child support if they are the breadwinner and are making more. Because something that you will learn if you look into things like the pay gap, you'll learn that there is actually not a pay gap. There is no pay gap. There is no pink tax, but there is an earnings gap. Oh yeah, there is. There is no wage gap, but there is definitely an earnings gap, and the earnings gap is that 8% is being made by women. Single women. Single women are some of the highest earners in society today. Career-driven women who sacrifices their careers. The same women who will turn around on a fucking Twitter post and tell you, actually, you're just a fucking misogynistic male because you think that women can't raise children. What do you think you are? Simping for this electronic diva. She won't raise your kids. Well, bitch, neither will you, working 50 fucking 80 hours a week. Get raised by the fucking maid. But yeah, that's the reason why child support exists. It exists to support children. And what some women are resisting, not Chloe, but what some women are resisting is their responsibility to do that because they feel that it's a burden. They're being punished for the audacity of trying to fight for the right. It is not a right to have a child. It is a privilege. And a fucking important one. Bringing life up in this world. You don't get to tell people that they're monstrous because they support the idea of people being held to a responsibility. It is the responsibility and duty, there's those words again, of a person who has chosen to take the risk of potentially creating life to become a parent or take responsibility for their actions. If you're a young man out here and you're clapping cheeks without protection, you are willingly taking the risk that you will eventually have to shoulder the responsibility and duty of fatherhood. The same way, young women, if you're letting these men put you up in the roughest of ways and you're telling them, keep going, don't stop, you also are taking risks that you probably shouldn't take, especially considering you know what happens. You know where the cuckoo is made. You also are taking and must take responsibility of your duty to potentially carry the life to term, terminate the life through abortion, or carry the child to term and put them in the adoption system and make the hard choice of doing something if you choose to be one of those people who say you're trapped because you chose to have a child. And that is actually a concern, a legitimate concern, because there are people who, if they feel that they don't want to be parents, shouldn't be parents. Because what happens when you make people who don't want to be parents be parents is that you end up creating a life that now has to live a rough life. That doesn't get to know the love of a parent, potentially, because they have a rough life, or doesn't get to know the love of their biological parents. And you know what's really sucky? When somebody's brought into this world, and the mother just decides to lie to the child about their father or their mother, if it's the dad that does it to the woman. It's some really shitty shit to do. If you can choose, and you have the choice, to relinquish your duties as a parent, you should and could and should always have the choice to do so. Not that you should do it. Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. But you should have the choice. Right now, men don't have that choice. Women do, 100%, 10,000%. Men don't. And also, to say that actually this woman is inconsistent because, look, she supports this, is so fucking brain-breakingly stupid. I can't fucking believe that this man said it. Beyond dumb. 10,000% beyond dumb. Dumber than Vito yesterday, in yesterday's fucking live stream, saying, actually, Southeastern Asia is China. This movie that was made for this region of the sea is actually for China. That's how stupid that is. You can't be out here making rookie mistakes like this. You cannot be out here making rookie mistakes like this. You may not have to read the book, but bitch, read the cliff notes.
Child support. What I find heavily ironic is the way that this guy is really good at cropping and taking clips of videos to make it kind of fit his narrative. Not that I think anybody who isn't a straight up incel could watch that clip and be like, yo, that's wrong. But you know, the entirety of the clip that he is showing, I actually listed multiple different situations where child support should not be needed, and that was actually the only situation that I thought it should be.
Yes, she did. However, peep the use of incel. Let's rewind it again. Pay attention.
Not that I think anybody who isn't a straight up incel could watch that clip and be like, yo, that's wrong. But you know, the entirety of the clip that he is showing, I actually listed multiple different situations where child support should not be needed, and that was actually the only situation that I thought it should be needed. However, sir, I don't think that you're counting, even though it's rare. 85% of men are the ones that are paying child support. However, there is like a whole other percentage there that is missing, and we can only presume that that is men being paid child support. So even though we don't see it as often, are you saying that men should not be entitled to child support? They're single fathers, that they're working hard, they need, you know, to pay for daycare, stuff like that, because that's actually very sexist. I also stated very clearly in that video that child support should not be over a third of your income, because there are men that are being taken over half of their wages, and that is theft, that is robbery, that is not okay. However, I do think that there are situations like, are you aware that there are men who like force women into having children, beat their ass, leave them a single mother, and leave them absolutely struggling? Because I was one of those moms. I didn't go after child support because I didn't feel like it was safe too. However, I do 100% entitlement. So honestly, the fact that you think that no woman should ever be entitled to child support is just straight up incel beliefs.
Child support.
Second use of the word incel. Also, this is the consequence for when you come out here doing rookie mistakes. Somebody who's wise to your shit and also knows how to manipulate you can do that. Because everything she just said was 1000% true. But see, if you didn't know what you did was a rookie mistake, you'd think, wow, this guy's a fucking retard. Actually, that's just her being smart. Because not only is what she's saying correct, and not only is what she said correct, because that is indeed what she said in the video, and that is indeed the point that she's been making in her things, because this man came out here and didn't demonstrate the things that I'm demonstrating to you here and now, she's able to turn that shit around on him. But again, notice how now he's gone from being a misogynist to being an incel. Let's keep going.
Or is theft. It's forcefully taking money from someone that the recipient did not earn. If Chloe was not a chameleon and actually supported men like she says she does, then she would be fully against child support.
Okay, so either because you chose to ignore my views on child support, or maybe you just only heard what you wanted to hear. Here are the situations where I feel like child support is not needed. Situations where 50-50 custody. If he's already 50-50 supporting that child, there's absolutely no reason why child support should be paid. Any situation of child alienation. If the mother is refusing to allow the father to see the child for no reason, that has to do with safety risk. I don't think that child support should be paid. I don't think it's logical to not allow a man to see a kid, and it not be for safety reasons, but allow him to pay money. Doesn't really make sense. I'm 100% against that. However, I think you are forgetting that there are abusive men out there. There are, you know, men who have stayed and then till the kid was like 5, cheated, fucked off, and like left her with absolutely nothing. So I just think maybe you're not really fully grasping a lot of the situations. Also, you claim to be an MRA, so the fact that you obviously don't think that men need child support either is actually quite appalling, because that's something that actual men's rights advocates are pushing for.
If Chloe was not a chameleon and actually supported men like she says she does, then she would be fully against child support. Now, to add context to this clip, she is referring to women who were being abused and left with a kid. But as I was told when I was 5, 2 wrongs don't make a right. If he was abusive, then put him in jail and punish him for his crimes. But that does not justify you stealing from him for 18 years.
Sir, do you believe that men should not be held responsible the same way women should be? Because, you know, the way you just...
By the way, again, because he made rookie mistakes, this is what happens to rookies who make rookie mistakes. I'm not sure when I'll have to re-pause and pause again. I'm going to take this moment to go reach into my bag and go pull up my drink mix, because I am fucking thirsty and straight up water is boring into my taste buds. Alright, let's continue.
Explained it was a guy can knock up a girl, leave her with a kid, and then say, oops, bye. Like that's really not okay. And you know, as a men's rights advocate, I think that you should, you know, understand how men feel. You're anyways having them up and take it. And you know, there is a lot of really uncomfortable feelings coming from the fact that you think that people should just be able to just knock up whatever they want and leave and be like peace, and she should just let her kid. If you are forgetting that we do still live in a society where women don't make as much as men, it is very difficult to do maternity leave, continue a career, be a single mother. I just think that you're very misogynistic, actually.
Nor does it justify the large number of cases where abuse does not occur.
Remember, that's our, what, third example? I'm going to start putting misogynistic and incel together, because my brain is going to start frying if I try to remember both at the same time. It can do it. It's just, it's already late. And we're going to be here for a while still, so let's wrap that up as time number 5.
And And also, if a woman wanted money, wouldn't she just claim that she was being abused, even if she wasn't? Kind of like a lot of women already do, as in the child support system is extremely easy to abuse. However, Chloe doesn't just believe in child support in the case of abuse. She believes in child support in non-violent cases too.
If the parents are not able to split the kids 50-50, maybe one of them's work schedule is different, so they want to do, a couple days a week with dad, blah, blah, blah. If that is the case, then yes, child support should be paid to the mother because the mother has them for more of the time. However, it should be strictly calculated, looked at very closely at exactly what is needed, exactly what is missing, and not a penny more. Not only that, but child support should not be allowed to exceed more than a third of his income.
A third of his income? That's a lot of money. And do you really think the government is going to strictly calculate everything?
What bothers me the most is that he intentionally failed to show his audience that the whole intention of that video that he's showing was literally to show what is messed up with the system. Sorry, sir, I don't really think you understand, but kids are expensive. It sounds like you just think that guys should just not be responsible, just not pay any child support. The fact, do you really think that the government is gonna, that's the problem, and that's the whole point of that video, is that if I had it my way, that's what I would change. And I do hope that someday, 30 is a lot of money. Well, yeah, it's cost a lot of money. So why you feel like going after the video women rather than the system that's paying other men, I'm not really sure. It seems to have this like rather than realizing that that is the problem, and it's not a problem for benefit men. Child support is benefit men. I think you're also forgetting that, again, not really misogynistic. I think that you're completely not even the fact that child support is for you.
Number 6.
There are lots of women that use that money towards the kids. So, like, totally about the kids. Yes, there are lots of women that make the job. But, to insinuate that every single time you guys use that women don't need it, it's just incredibly sexist, actually.
The government screws things up constantly. Not to mention that the mom could just make up a bunch of BS expenses in order to get more money.
Sir, I don't really think that you understand how the government works, but to lie on a government form like that is actually fraud. So, they would need to see, first of all, proof of income, they would have to see what your rent is, things like that. They actually would go through things like your bank account, do things like that, where they actually see your expenses, see what you're paying. That is how those systems actually work. But you obviously don't know that, so.
And also, if you were saying that child support should be paid out to the parent with more custody, wouldn't that just encourage women to push for more time with their kids so they get more money in child support? Kind of like a lot of women already do?
See, dude, I think you and I can agree on the fact that the system is really twisted and really messed up. It's just you and I have two different approaches. I encourage people to look at the system and say, yo, we should be saying to them, please change this, rather than being bitter at people who are doing it, therefore possibly sabotaging it for women that do need it, that don't do wrong by the fathers of their kids. There are fathers that are happy to pay child support to provide for their kids. So, I'm just not really fully understanding where this perception of yours is coming from, but, we'll go with it.
Again, he is not willing to give you that money, which makes child support theft. How can you say you're here to help men when you're in support of one of the major things that hurts them? Chloe...
The family support system is definitely a big one on the list, but, it's really sad that you identify, the biggest issues as the ones that, directly involve... I don't know, man, there's just a lot of misogyny on this page, but let's go.
Chloe also suggests that men should date...
I'd count sexist, but I'm not gonna. Number 7.
Single mothers. Here's a video of her explaining how to weed out a bad single mother, when really the advice should be, don't date single mothers. Unless her husband died.
There's so many things that was wrong with what he just said there, but first, small fuck-ups make it easy for her to snipe. Abso-fucking-lutely. Salt sniping, ladies and gentlemen, is a tactic, and it is a tactic that both sides can use. When used correctly, it can destroy an argument of somebody else by simply whittling down. That's why you don't go aggressive, because if you go aggressive, they can go aggressive. Use your brain. All it takes, 5 seconds. 5 seconds to use your brain. All it takes, all I'm saying. But if you want to be smart, don't date single mothers. There's lots of things there that's wrong. The most important one is basically that's blaming women for having the audacity of being pregnant and giving birth to a child. Obviously, that's fucking stupid. There is only one argument that makes sense there, and that's not the argument that he went with. For those who missed it, let's play it again. I'm trying to look at the thing on the side. Excuse me.
Sad that you identify the biggest issues as the ones that directly involve. I don't know, man. There's just a lot of misogyny on this page, but let's go.
Chloe also suggests that men should date single mothers. Here's a video of her explaining how to weed out a bad single mother, when really the advice should be, don't date single mothers.
If you choose to hold the L of another man's D, oh my god, I'm such a pig. If you choose to hold the L of another man's D and date a single mother, whether she's a single mother by choice, by adoption, impregnation, or inheritance, if it's her child, if it's the child of a family member who's now dead and she's raising it, or she chose to adopt a kid, or protect a kid, however the child has come into her guardianship. If you choose to be that guy who wants to hold the L of the D and be there for that woman, I'm not gonna tell you don't date her. Because out here, there are some women who are dime pieces. Jacques Toisento. Fine. Fine. But kids scare them away. As they should. Because when a man sees a woman with a kid, I know exactly what they might be thinking. Because as a fuckboy, it's not exactly the same, but similar to the questions I think. Oh my god, she has a kid. Whose kid is that? How did she get the kid? Aw, man, I bet it happened because she was being a hoe and she ended up fucking around and got pregnant. Man, am I gonna have to raise this kid as my own? Shit, is this kid gonna be badass? Is she gonna try to use me for money? Oh, she's gonna try to make me fucking the baby daddy? She crazy. Is that why the dad's not around? There's several questions that can come to mind, good and bad. But if you wish to date a single mother, the first thing you should ask yourself is not that. It is, am I going to be mature enough and man enough to be in the headspace necessary to understand that no matter fucking what, her child comes first, and or children if she has multiple children. Because that's the only question that should ever be on your mind. She doesn't need her time wasted. She has other shit to worry about. And even if you are literally clapping her cheeks on day one, at the end of the day, when a small little knock, knock, knock happens at the door and you hear the mommy, you should not be upset when you're in the middle of the cheek clapping to say, fuck! You have to remember, kid comes first. If you can put that in your head, and you can remember that at every single stage of the dating process and courting process, then who am I to tell you no? Good luck, motherfucker. Enjoy the deep swim. Work on your breaststroke. But if any other question comes to your mind other than, remember that she has to take care of her kid first. No matter what happens, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be hard. She's gonna shit test me. I'm gonna shit test her. And we're all gonna have to deal with it. Anything else comes to your mind? And the first thing you say is lazily, lol. The thing you should do with single mothers is not date them. Just fuck them. You know what I'm saying, boys? If that comes to your fucking mind, smash your head right here, right there. Just bang! Right on the wall. Do that for me. Do that for me like 10 times. Then look at yourself in the mirror and look at how stupid you look. Bleeding. Don't do it. Don't say it. Don't do it. Don't be that guy. Because when you make that gaffe, this is what happens. Also, I don't know what he means. I hope that was a complete sentence. Because I don't know basic.
Unless her husband died in a tragic accident, a single mother is telling you that she does not know how to maintain a stable relationship.
Okay, slow your freaking horses, Mr. Massage.
And definitely don't say that either.
So, basically, a woman's value on whether or not she is to be, a spouse, after she's become a mother, is that value is based off of a man. So based off of whether her husband has died, because it must automatically be assumed that if she's a single mother, that she failed. Well, let me tell you something, buddy. I'm 23 years old. I became a single mother at 19 years old. I was not a single mother because I was just some shady, fucked up, sneaky bitch. I actually fell in love with a man that beat me almost to my death. Twice. The whole relationship was incredibly domestic. The night I left him, he almost killed me, and I left him, and a year later he stalked me, beat my head open with a baton, and left me broad daylight to die. So I guess that people should look at me and go, you're a single mother, so you must automatically not know how to maintain a relationship. I find it really funny that you call yourself a men's rights advocate. Men have the stigma themselves that, if a relationship doesn't work, then it must automatically have been the men's fault. This just goes to show how much you hate women, how misogynistic you are. That if she's a single mother, it's because
Oh shit, somebody else responsibility I'm not prepared for.